So let's talk about what are some of the mistakes going in when new people get recruited somewhere, any company. What are some of the key mistakes that people make early on?
Yeah. Biggest mistake when starting is seeking acceptance, approval, and agreement. So they join this, foreign thing, this network marketing company, and they immediately go to their friends seeking approval, acceptance, and agreement. And unless you have a very special set of motivated and inspired friends, you're going to get shot down. You're going to have people say, "Oh, those things don't work," or whatever. I know I did, and I had entrepreneur friends that, and there's like they just poo pooed it. If I had hinged me moving forward on acceptance, approval, and agreement, like so many people do, I never would have moved forward. I never would have made it. So that would be number one. Number two is not actually asking people. And so what I see a lot is people will say things like, "Oh, my friends and family don't even support me." And I'm like, "What do you mean by that? Like, what exactly does that mean?" And they'll say, "Well, I post stuff on my Facebook all the time and they never reach out." I'm like, "Well, just so you know how they see it, they see that as you're posting for strangers. And if it was important, you'd reach out to them. So they may actually be insulted that you haven't asked them, that they're not worthy of you asking them directly. So why don't you ask them and just see if they're open?" Which leads to another one is a lot of people will in their mind they will plan like, how do I close this person, how do I close them before they know if they're open or not. All I did was I just saw who was open. "Hey, are you open to taking a look?" And if not, totally cool. "No, all right, fine, no big deal." And so because that carries a different energy. If I'm trying to close you, then I'm going to ask things in a way to try to trap you into closing, which can be very tricky, number one, and two, very annoying to the other person. If I'm saying to you, "Hey, are you open to taking a look at what I'm doing?" You say, "Nah, I'm good." I say, "Cool, no problem. Hey, you watching the game Monday?" It's not a big deal. I'm not going to lose friends that way. I'm not going to, and I'm also not going to get all aggravated. And so one of the examples that I help people with is think about the waiter or the waitress. If they come over to you and tell you how great the homemade key lime pie is, they don't get distraught in front of everyone when you say no, right? They don't say why, right? They don't go crying in the back. They're just saying, "Hey, we got this homemade key lime. It's fantastic. If you'd like us, let no, okay, cool. Here's your bill." All right, it's just not a big deal. And so too many people get wrapped up in trying to close everyone or upset because someone told them no. And so I would say those are the three biggest people entering the space make.
And so they get upset because is it just they get upset because they feel that rejection? Is that the challenge with most newer people in network marketing is they really take rejection personal. And and why shouldn't they take rejection personal?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that is one of the problems. And it's interesting in network marketing. There's so many things in network marketing that are like this, but it's like its greatest strength is also kind of a weakness, in that everyone can do it, right? Everyone can do it. So if I open a lumber store, which would be $1 billion company right now because of inflation, but if I had a lumber store, I wouldn't just go to my stay-at-home mom friend and say, "Hey, come on, buy a 2x4. Come on, you can like prop it against something. You can use it to wedge the door open." They'd be like, "What? Like, why am I buying lumber?" No, I wouldn't do that because not everyone's going to buy lumber, and that's kind of universally accepted. The fact that everyone can do network marketing is kind of good and bad because then you think everyone should do it. Well, the truth is, not everyone should because a lot of people are just not very positive, and a lot of people don't want to talk to other people. A lot of people are negative in nature and they're just going to struggle in any business, not just network marketing. Now, they would never find themselves owning a restaurant and looking around, how do I do this, right? But they could find themselves being recruited into a network marketing company and then being their negative self and saying it doesn't work. And so the problem is, don't assume that everyone should do it just because they could. You got to see if someone's open. If someone's open and looking for a reason, just like in the lumber company, if I know someone, if I have a friend that I think might need lumber, I'm definitely going to reach out and say, hey, I got a lumber company. Well, great. But I'm not going to assume that. I'm not going to beat them up for not buying, and I'm going to be okay with it. But I am going to let them know what I'm doing.
And doesn't it come down to the numbers? I mean, ultimately, the numbers are the numbers are the numbers. I mean, if you reach out to enough people, eventually, because isn't it like people quit way too soon? Did you ever see that happening? Like maybe even somebody with a little bit of talent, right? They have the ability, but they
Yeah.
just weren't willing to go through the numbers. Tell me what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, for sure. So earlier I mentioned that there were a few things that I did to become the number one income earner of that company. One of the things was I had read a book called Go for No, and to me, that made sense. I'm like, go for no, have a no goal. And so I went for 20 no's a day every single day. And sometimes that was me following up with someone who had already told me no. Sometimes it was a brand new person, but to me, it's a combination. It's a combination of, safety and number, law of average, but also improving my skill set. So I've never stopped buying sales training. I mean, I've done all kinds of different sales, inside and outside network marketing, but I'm always looking to hone those skills. I'm always looking to get better. But I do know that regardless of where my skill set is at, it is a numbers game too. So it's a combination of, let's either go for no or have activity management where I reach out to X number of people, but let's also work on our skill sets, on how we respond, how we overcome objections, how we respond to questions, how we follow up. And so I see it as both. What I've noticed is a lot of times really high performers with a high level of skill set can be lazy sometimes, and if they reach out to 10 people, they get 3, they're good to go. Well, you can beat them by reaching out to 30 people and getting 4. And so it is interesting. A lot of really high skilled people, sometimes maybe don't challenge themselves in the numbers, and if they did, and I say that because sometimes when I say go for no, not that it's not my concept. I read the book, and I've since co-authored a book with them. I liked it so much, but that's not my concept. But sometimes a high performer will say, I'd rather go for yes. Yeah. But if you're super high skilled and you go for no, it's actually going to take you more numbers to reach those no's. You will make more money, guaranteed. So regardless of your skill set, if you're game to try that on of going for no, you will make more money. And if you're really skilled, you're just going to have to reach out to more people. If you get so many yeses, you're going to make more money anyway.
Is that kind of, when I think about social media right now, that really is a game changer for all of us because it
Yeah.
allows us to reach out to way more people
Yeah.
than ever before. And believe it or not, with the COVID going on, I mean, let's be honest, man. I mean, you know, I'm literally a work from home business now. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
ever have to leave my house
Right.
again. I mean, obviously I leave my house all the time, but the truth is that this is like unprecedented opportunity. The
Yeah.
numbers have never been bigger. So tell me about, should somebody that's kind of entering these spaces, how do we start to generate more leads? How do we utilize social media to benefit us, in these, days and times?
Yeah. So when it comes to lead generation, there's two pillars of building any business, whether it's a plumbing business, air conditioning business, whatever. And that's marketing, right? Which is passive. You're doing something you hope an unnamed individual reacts or responds to, or prospecting. You're reaching out to somebody. So those are two different pillars. So I mentioned I did 3 things. Number 1, I went for 20 no's a day. Number 2, I did self-development every day. So I worked on my skill set, my mindset, my money mindset or whatever. And number 3, I did a video a day. And so on July 15, 2009, I started doing a video a day, and I've never missed. It's over 11 years or whatever it is now, 12 years maybe. No, almost, no, 11 years. And so The reason I started doing that is I hated prospecting, still hate it. I hate prospecting. I hate reaching out to people. I did it because I needed to, but I wanted people to come to me. I wanted to generate leads. And so I don't know the exact amount, but we've, generated probably close to 500,000 leads at this point, over all those years. And here's how to do that. Another mistake made by network marketers is they focus on, the thing they have for sale, right? So they, this is just a coffee thing, but they, like, this is my thing for sale. It's shampoo, and this is what I'm going to talk about. This is all I'm going to talk about ever. And so they're spooning it, they're pouring it on themselves, and like that's the only content they ever create. Well, okay, that's going to speak to the less than 1% of people who are ever just ready to buy. Someone wakes up and says, Martha, I'm going to go on social media and buy some shampoo. Here's some, right? And it's just such a small percentage of people that are just ready to buy your thing. And so instead, when you have this thing for sale, you actually don't have to talk about this thing in your marketing. So Saturday, I was the MC for a charity gala for foster care. And it was an awesome, awesome event, raised a bunch of money. It was amazing. And I sat next to my buddy who owns I'll give him a shout out, my buddy Joey, who owns 5-Star Valet, right? So he owns a valet company that serves a lot of clubhouses and, whatever, fancy restaurants and things like that have valet services. And he was asking me about marketing, and he's like, my main target is clubhouses, like getting the country clubs, I should say, country clubs. And, but I just don't, am I doing videos and like how I park cars, right? And I'm like, no, actually what I would do is I would focus on what are the problems that a country club encounters, or what is something that those running the country club, what kind of content would they be interested in? Maybe it's how to offer better services for your members. Maybe it's, how to reduce your expenses as a country club. Maybe it's how to market your country club. I would talk all about them, right? All about their problems, the things that they encounter. And then once I have them, once I'm connected to them, then I say, oh, by the way, one way we help is we have a valet service. So this thing becomes my conversation. So it's not in my marketing, but it's in my conversation for the leads that I generate. So same thing, if I'm in a network marketing company, let's say that it's a real estate network marketing company. There's a few of those out there, and I want to attract more realtors. Well, what do realtors struggle with? Where how to get more, how to get more for sale, how to get more leases, how to get more traffic on their website, how do they get known as the professional in a particular neighborhood. So I'm going to talk about where to list your properties to get more traffic, right? I'm going to talk all about that. And then when I start attracting them and start communicating with them, I say, hey, by the way, I have this thing over here where you can actually earn off the efforts of others, right? But the same thing, if I'm trying to attract, if I notice that there are a lot of parents in my health and wellness company, then I could be talking about parenting tips. I could be talking about parenting suggestions or meal planning or workouts or whatever, but focus on who, not what, right? Most people focus on the thing I have for sale. I'm going to focus on who might buy this. Who would I actually like to work with, and what are their problems? What do they struggle with? Do they struggle with nighttime sugar cravings? Do they struggle with love handles? Do they struggle with how to prepare, meals for their, kid, for their gluten-free kid? I'm going to focus on the things around them to attract them to me, then have the conversation.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.